Hello, Internet Capitalists, and welcome back to our fifth interview with key players in the crypto industry. Today, we're with Kush from Allora. Kush, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Todd. Happy to
Uh,
be here.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here. And, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm always interested in how folks go from, a traditional background, because crypto's not that old, into crypto, and particularly into the AI crypto space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's your background? How did you get here?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually started as a meteorologist. I wanted to study weather in college. So sorry, I got a little cramp here. I studied weather in college, and then I found out that, weather was kind of what I wanted to learn was more practical, and everything that they were teaching was very theoretical. And so academia in general is very theoretical, and I wanted to apply myself more. I wanted to do more practical things with knowledge that I'd built up in college. So I actually went into the ad tech space for a bit. Started coding and programmatic ads, doing operations development, optimizing processes using Python, things of that nature. From there, I joined my dad's company actually for a bit, and he does insurance. So I built out an entire insurance software for him. You could take a policy, create documents for it, build endorsements, payments, reports, that whole sort of thing, all in this one sort of online software. And I actually did integrate some crypto there with the login flow. You're working with people who are not in that space at all. So I wanted to see how easy that experience would be. Um, Surprisingly, that was one of the easiest things they found about the system. A lot of the Web 2 parts were the more difficult things to implement. Yeah, so while I was there, I was trying to build a startup. It was called Nifty Tunes. It was fully on chain, a way for us to go to events such as music events, concerts, record the entire show and have people bid on different segments of the show as NFTs.
Yep.
So like a video NFT. I think music NFTs in general kind of just died. I think there was a lot of like not not too much speculation with that. I don't really know what happened. I don't think there was any real value prop for the users,
Yeah.
just buy this NFT, but what does it really mean?
Right.
What is, I guess, not even the utility, but what can you even do with it, or what does it mean to you? And I don't think users really had that meaningful connection with a music NFT that they necessarily did with an actual NFT or a PFP or something of that nature. So from there, I joined crypto full time as a developer relations engineer, first at this company in Vancouver, Layer Zero. And then after a few months, I moved to Allora. I felt like, crypto is really, really this expensive technology. I do think that a lot of the infrastructure is there for crypto, but when it comes to AI and crypto combined, there's not a lot of infrastructure built out, which is why I felt that Allora was very interesting to me. And I
Mhm.
felt like I could do a lot and learn a lot with my skill set, while also providing value to the company with my crypto background, my coding background, insurance, maybe even weather,
You're a polymath. You a renaissance man here in 2024. I don't know many people that have done meteorology, insurance, and crypto all in the span of just a few years. That's great.
No, more of a generalist, more of a generalist.
So how did Allura start? And what was the seed? Why did it come into being?
Yeah, so I think well, with our founders, Nick and Kenny, they actually started this other company called Upshot. So at first it was Upshot, and they were doing price predictions, price appraisals for like watches, NFTs, things of that nature. But the NFT space kind of died. So um, we brought on this astrophysicist, actually, Diedrich,
Okay.
and he conceptualized this idea of collective intelligence, where a swarm of AI agents or model creators, anyone submitting a numerical value for the price of a prediction for a cryptocurrency as this base use case, but really could be expanded to anything. How do we get all these agents or these models to communicate with each other in a decentralized way and reward them accordingly for that, while still getting the best output, the best of the best out of all these models in one collective output? That was the problem we were trying to solve. As you see with the AI space right now, there's so many agents out there. There's so much going on, but there's not really a collective layer or connective tissue between all these agents to create a better output, right? Or one single output that's better than all of the rest. And that's how Allora kind of came to play.
Okay. All right. So before we dive into the technology, which I have a bunch of questions to try and understand it, can you take everything you just said and distill it down into like 2 or 3 sentences on what Allora is for the kind of average knowledge crypto user?
Yeah, for sure. So like a consumer, right? What Allora is for a consumer is a tool that you can use to get the predicted price of a cryptocurrency, that outputted price you can ensure is better than any of the inputs. So the input could be, you and I predicting on the price of Ethereum, but the network will figure out who's better and it'll reward that person better while also producing the best collective output at a given cadence. So it could be 10 minutes, an hour,
Yep.
a day. Simply put, we provide the best inference possible.
Gotcha. So you basically provide bespoke data to users. It's the best data that they can use to make their decisions with.
Yes, based off the inputs that we have.
Okay.
So based off, workers is what we call that, inference workers. They use any given type of model to predict the price, XGBoost, regression strategies, whatever it may be. And we take all those models and we create a collective output.
Okay. Perfect. That's a perfect lead in. So I was reading through the docs and I think I conceptually understand each of the components and want to start to talk a little bit about the workers. And there's a note in the docs that these are, quote, the data scientists. So that seems like a very technical term. That's a degree in college. But I think that it really can be anyone that has some form of good predictive models on a particular topic. Is that a good way to think about it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So the follow-on question there is, okay, so I'm some guy sitting in Bloomington, Indiana, and I've got my greatest ML AI model ever. What is the practical, technical way that I get this data into the Allora network so that others can use it?
Yeah. So we have a few different ways to do that. The pretty simplest way to do that is by downloading our Git repo, basic coin prediction node.
Okay.
It already has all the APIs hooked up, the RPC, so that all you really have to do is provide an endpoint for which topic you want to provide to, and at a given cadence, right?
Yep.
That cadence being an epoch.
Yep.
The network will hit your endpoint, grab an inference from you, and automatically submit that inference to the network for you. So we have these repositories that'll take care of a lot of the, sending and receiving of the data,
Yep.
where you need to just provide your endpoint, whether it's a Python or Go package, expose that endpoint wherever it lives locally on a server, and we'll hit that endpoint periodically and get the inference.
So I don't want to get off track too far, but the thing that popped in my head when you said this is we met crypto, but what you just described doesn't need to be used just in crypto. For example, uh, the Allora engine could start on blockchains and for agents, but there's no reason to say that the same sort of technology, maybe not being paid with tokens, but being paid with cash, couldn't be used for anything.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think there's so many Web 2, more bespoke use cases for Allora outside
Yeah.
of DeFi price prediction.
Yeah.
One thing that we're exploring right now is the advertising industry, which I
Yep.
brought up. Every bid that an advertiser sends is essentially a prediction on what they think the price of a given ad space would be, right?
Yep.
Um, you don't even need an inference worker. You don't even need to create a model. You could just get bid data on one end and the actual price of an ad on the other end, break it down by context, and you have your own network, functioning where advertisers can actually check what the predicted price of a ad space would be, and all they have to do is give their bid price data as the input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely harkens back to the very beginnings of Web 2.0 with all of the price markets and things like that for selling stuff. That's really interesting. Except now it's more competitive, and you can use some technology to make it better. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, totally. I always love to draw parallels between, what I learned in Web 2, the networks, programmatic advertising is its own network, right?
Yep.
So, drawing parallels there, seeing how it can be applied in Web 3, seeing how the web of architecture kind of fits into Web 3 or is kind of similar in how we can make it better.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Getting back to something you said, which was about providing these workers provide data to different topics. Is it up to the worker to select the topics they might be most valuable for, or do the topic creators pick which data they want?
Currently, how it works is that it's one endpoint per topic. So in our basic coin prediction node, there's a JSON file. You would select the topic you want to provide inferences for. You could select multiple topics, and then you would provide an endpoint per topic.
Okay.
What I want to do is abstract that away, where you can just select a category. I have Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana data, right? Doesn't matter what cadence you hit me on whatever cadence, because topics are also broken down in cadences, right?
Mhm.
So we have Ethereum 5 minute price prediction, Ethereum 1 hour price prediction. What I'm working on right now is a way to abstract this idea of topics away one level further, where workers can just provide one endpoint. um, we hit that endpoint for whatever currency we need or whatever cadence we need, and we take care of everything on the back end. So
Mhm.
that, you know, it makes it much easier from a worker experience that they don't have to worry about different endpoints, different layers to where to allocate data. They can just provide us with an endpoint and we could take care of everything on the back end.
So that's like creating a whiteboard that people just put their information on, and any of the topics can grab it at whatever cadence they want.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the
Awesome.
goal. That's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, one thing that I like about that is there could be a topic that a developer wants to be part of. At the beginning, they may not know what data they need, or they may think they need certain data, but perhaps they want something else that a traditional worker wouldn't necessarily hook up to their topic. And it seems like in that case, they're sort of they can't get that data in the current model. Would that be is that right?
Um, well, like on the consumer side or on the worker side?
So on the let's see, it would be a developer as the user, correct?
Yeah, so essentially like a consumer who's
Yeah.
using the network output,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about is, let's say I want to use to predict the price of ETH in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Simple example. Um, okay, a lot of people that can provide data to support that will obviously join that topic.
Yeah.
But say I don't know, the price of Solana is actually more correlated to the price of ETH, and if they're not in that topic, does the user have access to that data through the topic or no?
Yeah, yeah, the user has access to the data whether they're providing inferences or not to that topic.
Perfect. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand. Got it. Um, and then let's talk a little bit about how the workers get paid. I assume the better the prediction, the more Allora or Allo points they get. Is that how it works?
Yeah, the more rewards they get through token when it comes out on mainnet. Right now, we reward people through testnet. Um, but that's exactly right. What we're trying to do is take all of the inferences provided by workers over time
Yep.
and use this what out inference logic that we've coined, where you take one worker out, you calculate the collective output,
Yep.
put that worker back in, take that next worker out, calculate the collective output, and compare and contrast, compare to the ground truth,
Mhm.
which workers' inferences are most valuable to the network.
Well, I actually love that way of doing things, and maybe that's a traditional statistical way, but for the average person, that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's not magic about who gets the rewards. Like, well, they were the most valuable, and here's why. Um,
exactly. And we kept worker rewards separate from stake, right? So
mhm,
workers, it doesn't really matter how much money you have, you just have to have the best output, right? So
mhm.
it's not incentivized by, I mean, not incentivized by stake.
Right, right. So, in reading through the docs, I got to the end of it, and it started talking about a special kind of worker called a forecast worker,
Yeah.
and that looks like. Well, tell me what that is.
Forecast worker is essentially a scout. Scout goes to a high school baseball game and he has no idea which of these 18 players is going to be go to the MLB. He picks the best guess, right?
Yep.
And the best scouts usually have the best guesses. So forecast workers are scored in a similar way that inference workers are. They are an additional layer on top of the inference workers that decide which inference workers are going to perform the best in the future. So another piece I would need to explain to kind of tie this all
Yep.
together is the reputers, right?
Right.
The people who are providing the ground truth,
Yep.
the data sources. In conjunction with the reputers, the forecast workers work together to produce weights for inference workers. And
Yes.
those weights determine how valuable a inference worker is to the topic, how much their inference is going to be valued over other inferences. Forecast workers and reputers work together to create these weights using forecast implied inferences and actual ground truth regrets. So
Okay.
using a loss function. This is where it gets kind of mathematical and tough, but that's essentially what it is, and we can break down any piece further.
Okay. So the reputers are sort of like this moment in time. How well did a worker's prediction pan out?
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Then the forecast workers are saying, all right, we know at this moment in time now, the forecast workers say in the future, we think A, B, or C is going to do better.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So you
Um,
use kind of this futuristic view as well as the current view to weight the workers, not just the current view.
okay. So this was the point where I think when you were talking on the mode um, interview that I had a question about because you talked about air and you talked about weights. And the first thing that hit my mind is, well, they're doing some kind of back propagation of air here, whether it's the true back prop algorithm or something else. Um, is it easy enough to kind of explain at a high level how those errors change the weights as they, I guess it seems like it's just a single layer network, but how those errors change the weights?
The loss function.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we use for the topics we created, we use mean squared error.
Okay.
Yeah, but the beauty of this is it's a decentralized network, right? So anyone who's creating a topic can pick their own way of determining error. So they could choose mean squared error, they could choose moving average error. They can choose from a cohort that we've created. So it's about 10 different loss functions, and sometimes different data needs to be scored in different ways. So we allow for all of that to exist within the Allora network.
So that's interesting because I mean, I could see that there's a little bit of secret sauce from the user and how they create the topic, in which data sources they use, and how they choose to propagate the errors from each data source.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a super interesting concept, right? I think from your way, it's very interesting, and from my way, what's very interesting about that is, it's fully decentralized and permissionless, right? We're not dictating how you create your topic, what error you use, what cadence you want to, call inferences on. That's all up to the creator of the topic.
All right, so this is sort of coming into view for me now. Allora isn't Allura is an infrastructure product, and the infrastructure you're providing are predictions, a way to validate those predictions to ground truth both now and in the future, and through the use of, I guess you guys call them validators, some sort of infrastructure.
The reputers, yeah. So
Yes.
so the validators are on the chain level. The validators
Really?
validate actual transactions between, me sending allo to
Yeah.
you or workers paying gas fees for inferences, whereas the reputers are topic level. They
Right.
validate the truth for a given topic.
Yeah, okay. The validators are sort of this low level hardware blockchain stuff. And which is that's interesting. I'm not saying it's not, but then the cool part though is really the workers, the reputers, the forecast workers, and that sort of thing. And that's your infrastructure. And in addition to those key data sources and validation of data sources, you guys provide a model for payment.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Model
Okay.
to reward each participant for their contribution. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So let's dive now into what I would say like the autonomous or automatic agent, the AI part of this. So I think I understand as me as a guy, I want to create a topic. I want to get this stuff and I want to use it. But this starts to get interesting where, I could create an agent that somehow could interface with these same topics to get these inferences from. Is that the right way to think about it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, a kind of cool thing that I've been working on the
Yeah.
side just for my own experimentation. You can create an AI agent that leverages Alora's inferences to make trading decisions, right?
Yes.
So they could take from the universe, they could take from Twitter, but they could also take from this predictive set of algorithms or this predictive infrastructure to make decisions on that. And they could do that in real time on a given cadence that they know that, it's guaranteed that on every epoch that this inference will be updated.
Got it. So, for example, you could be writing on code at home. You have the endpoints to the Allura network. You have magic data from Twitter because you want to see what crypto Twitter sentiment is. You have access to your wallet and you have your keys, and your code can use all of this information, including from Allura, to make a decision to trade, to not trade, to swap, or whatever.
Exactly. And that's actually one of the most exciting things in the current moment that I think is like Alora's immediate use case.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
the there's some cool stuff that's coming out that's just looking at interest rates, our yields, and can optimize between the yields. But it seems like the ability to predict in the future is this kind of thing Allura can do is very useful. For example, if I have a big slug of ETH and I want to put it into a pool, if I had a model of how the yield curve was going to change, then I can fine tune how much I wanted to put in. That's a simple example, but that's sort of an example where you need to look forward.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. On the, business dev side, we're working on use cases for automated liquidity provisioning. We've spun up topics for volatility and volume along with price. So you could take these three topics and create this sort of, meta structure where you have an agent that leverages the inferences from these three topics for a given currency. And provides liquidity based on that, or takes liquidity out based on that.
Exactly. So is there another use case that is just as a curated data source, where there are companies that they make money. Bloomberg is one in the TradFi, the TIE is another in crypto, that make money just selling raw data
Mm-hmm.
that people look at.
Yeah.
It seems like that's another possible endpoint for your data, of people making topics that combine the data they want to see in kind of a real-time graphic.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing to bring up there is that in the network output, we don't just provide a collective output. We also provide confidence intervals for that collective output,
Yep.
and we showcase which workers are weighted the most and the deviation between the collective output and the output of these individual workers. So there's a lot of ways you can slice this inference data to create your own predictions, make your own decisions, right? The data is just the data, the inferences are just the inferences. How you choose to interact with it and what you choose to do with that, there's a unlimited number of use cases for.
So the confidence interval thing is very cool to me, and harkens back years and years. Is there, there's ways like Kalman filters that can use multiple data points to generate these confidence intervals, and then to update them dynamically based on new data. Is it sort of a, I guess what I'm asking, is there an ad hoc way you update the confidence intervals, or is there sort of a mathematically rigorous way that's done?
Yeah, it's done on chain,
Okay.
by the network using math. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Got
we're
it.
taking the cohort of workers, what the collective output is, and then taking the standard deviations and creating confidence intervals for that.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the more practical side now. I want to use Allora. What do I need to do, beginning with, getting whatever tokens I need, getting on whatever chain I need, whatever. What do I need to do to start using the technology, the inferences, the topics, all that kind of stuff? What's that process?
Yeah, if you want to just use the inferences as a consumer, you can literally go to our docs, and I can send this link to you. It's literally one API link.
Okay.
You hit that API link and you get a JSON output. That's the most updated JSON output for that given topic.
Yep.
And you can plug that API into your code base, say it's Python,
Yep.
extract the JSON and, take that combined output and start making decisions on it.
But I need to pay you.
Not on the consumer side, you don't. Yeah. For these open source topics, it's literally based on how much value people see in it. So if consumers see a genuine need and a value for it, they can allocate money to that topic. Those rewards go to workers. Workers see those rewards, and more workers come to that topic because they see there's more demand for it.
That's right. I read that it's pay what you feel is appropriate for what you're
Yeah,
getting. And if you don't pay, eventually people leave and you don't get your data.
exactly.
That's very, I actually like that, right? I like
Yeah,
that.
it's more decentralized. It's more, you know, it's more open-ended, but at the same time shows where the real value is.
Yeah, it's sort of like a little game theory, because say I'm BlackRock and I have a gazillion dollars, and the guys on the other end probably aren't expecting that. So how does that all work out, and things like that? So I love, that's awesome. So okay, that's me as a user. Now me as a dude here that wants to write some code because I think I have some special sauce to make the prediction of ETH in an hour. How do I
Yeah,
interface with it?
sure. So I think there's this basic coin prediction node repository that we have
Mhm.
where you can literally just download it, put in your endpoint for a given topic. Um, you don't have to create your own model, but luckily we are releasing this model development kit where you can literally just download the repository, pick a model, pick a time frame, pick a currency, and you can have a trained model set within. I did it in 2 minutes last night.
Wow. So that's a way to, again, you're providing infrastructure for people to create models to as use as the develop the I'm sorry, the workers, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a infrastructure play on the model side to allow people who don't necessarily have the best computer science skills, but may have good ideas,
Yep.
because a lot of this is trial and error at the end of the day. Um, to download a repository, take a look at a few different models that we provide, a few different regression strategies, including ARIMA, XGBoost, bridge regression, just to name a few. They could literally just pick the type of model they want to use in their command line interface and train on that model for a given data set.
Got it. Okay. Now to jumpstart this, Allora must have created. You must have your own models that people can use as a kind of a bootstrap mechanism, or is it all from external user or external developers that are providing this?
Yeah, we have the base model through the basic coin prediction node, and then as well as all of the model development kit models are base models at the moment.
Hmm.
So it's up to the user to tinker with that and come up with the best prediction possible, right? We just want to provide the infrastructure for that so that they have the tools they need to get the best inference possible.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So then to the reputers, I kind of just thought this is the simple as well. Let's look at the price of ETH on Coinbase and provide that as an input for ground truth. It must be more than that.
No, it really is that simple. To be a reputer, there are two aspects: performance and stake, right? So
Yep.
reputers are a decentralized cohort as well. Anyone
Yep.
can become a reputer. Reputers are valued based on how much stake they have in a given topic. So how much money they actually um, have staked in that topic, as well as the performance compared to the other reputers. So if you have 10 reputers and they all have a different ground source of truth, you need to come up with some collective truth out of that. So
Yep.
we use a similar process that we use with the workers combined with stake to
Gotcha.
determine what the overall ground truth is.
So I made a note here, and the question was, if a reputer forms poorly, do they get does their stake get slashed?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, if a reputer is performing poorly, then like compared to other reputers, we
Yeah.
can verify that, right? We have 10, 20 reputers that are on a given, and 15 of them are giving the same price, and this one with a high stake is not giving us a good price. Then we have this concept of runaway stake, where stake is capped at a certain level of performance, and if you don't if you don't like stake is capped at a level. So like if a reputer has too much stake, we'll cap that so that their performance isn't affecting the other reputers too much, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's
Oh,
this concept of runaway stake, where
right.
we try and correct for that.
Yeah, because if you didn't, you know, a bad reputer working in conjunction with other folks could kind of screw everybody, right?
They could
With
collude, yeah.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
why you have, yeah, exactly. So that's
exactly.
why you have this concept of runaway stake, where above a certain amount of stake or a certain threshold, reputers can't generate more influence over a given topic.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could have said it.
Got it. Got it. All right, last couple things here. So I had a note here like that said, all right, what chains are you on? But to a certain extent, you're on no chains in every chain, right?
Yeah, we we are our own L1, although that's not our purpose, right?
Right. Okay.
People don't build smart contracts on Allora. They use Allora's inferences to execute smart contract functions on other chains. Or
Okay. Make that
yeah,
make that makes perfect sense to me now because I couldn't figure that out until our discussion. That's perfect.
yeah, a lot of the partnerships we have with other chains are the chain leveraging Allora's data providing that to users in on chain through consumer contracts and letting users create contracts that could leverage those other contracts that output inferences to execute transactions on those chains. I think it works really well for things like HFT, high frequency trading. We just had a partnership announcement with Monad where we're trying to explore some of those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Last two things. Give me the vision for the next 6 months. Where does Allora want to be with business wise, but also technology wise? What's next in the tech stack and business development side?
Sure. So I think mainnet is a big focus right now,
Yep.
TBD, but
Great.
we want to get the network ready for mainnet, make sure it could handle scale. But
Yep.
at the same time, make sure to correct for outliers on the worker side.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of workers don't produce good inferences because it is an open source network. And there needs to be some way to correct for that so we can give the best inferences possible to the consumers. And then on my main focus is this more DGED AI agent kind of sphere that's sprouted
Yep.
out of nowhere, capturing value from there, but also expanding on these Web 2 use cases like advertising, for example, and building out that sector. I really want to see Allora in the Web 2 space, in infrastructure that already exists, and I want to see people using it in real ways.
That's absolutely. If I was a AI-fi developer, I would say, well, I don't want to do all this stuff myself. I'm going to go to someone like you to get these data streams from.
Yeah, totally. And on the infrastructure side, if you're an AI player with a lot of models, it makes sense to use the network, right? You can
Yeah.
build your own topic, have all your workers funnel through that topic, have your own Reputer source, have your own kind of closed source environment for collective intelligence instead of running different models and trying to figure out which one is the best.
Yep. Exactly. Because that's not their, I mean, that is a focus, but the front end of that, the interactions on the chain, helping users make things easier is what they really want to do, not managing all these back end things when something's
Exactly.
already built.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing, and I want to be sensitive with your time here. Is there any like alpha you want to drop? Anything you want to say that we need to be on the lookout for in the next 2, 3, 4 months?
Yeah, I
Or-
think
okay.
be on the lookout for our Allora MDK announcement, which is coming
Okay.
out soon, as well as a new competition that we're going to launch for model makers called the Allora Forge competition.
All
We're
right.
going to allow workers to, have this kind of closed source battle to see which models are the best, and we'll give out a lot of prizes um, in
Awesome.
that competition. So, yeah, if you know anyone who's interested, I'll send you over the link. And it's a very good competition for model makers who think they can create the best inferences, and they'll get rewarded for it.
Well, Kush, this has been great. I appreciate it. I never imagined we'd go from meteorology, toy cars, insurance, crypto, AI, all this stuff. But at least for me, I think I have a really good understanding now of what Allura is, how it works, and it seems very exciting. And I wish you guys, the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you having me on. And this was a very pleasant little break to my busy day. So thank you for that.
All right, you're welcome, and I'll let you get back to it.